Good day, everybody. It's Greg Schnell, and I am the Canadian technician. I'm going to work through some charts today, just showing how I look at some stuff on trying to decide if the carnage is over and maybe where I'd like to dip my toe in. So we're going to cover that kind of stuff off today. So first of all, you know where to find my blogs, but in case you don't, there's some there. And contact information, new update at gregschnell.com, and you can always find me on my website at gregschnell.com as well. The agenda, so 20% down on lots of stocks. I think one of the things to really keep ballasted about here is, so I realize how severe the virus is, or we think we know how severe it is. The real question is it going to drop the stock markets around the world 50%? And I don't have that belief. Now, it may end up causing a domino effect that a year and a half from now takes the market down 50%. We don't know that. What we do know is we've had a massive pullback, roughly 20%. And so the real question is, when we bounce up here, will it continue to go higher and make new highs? That answer's up for debate. But one of the things I like to try and do is buy closer to the lows, not the highs. So when we were up in mid-February, I wasn't very comfortable up there. And I think one of my presentations said, I'm as nervous as a kitten on a hot tin roof. So now I'm more comfortable because we've had this massive pullback, and all of our advanced decline data is telling us we're at a severe level of oversold. Now, that doesn't mean it'll still hold up. We could always crash. But the idea of trying to buy near the lows is more important when we get these opportunities. And so some of the things are starting to work. Semiconductors actually held up okay. So I was kind of surprised. I thought, with the all the different types of machinery that order parts from around the world, with the problems in world supply chains, that semiconductors would probably slow down rather dramatically. Wrong. Anyway, so the issue is that whole area looks okay, and I think that's something worth discovering. But we're going to work through the stock charts dashboard and just look for the names there, what's starting to percolate to the top. And then I've got some other ideas. I mentioned China stocks a couple weeks ago. We want to keep watching those to see where they're at. So we'll quickly review those. Software stocks, they were some of the popular ones before. There's a whole area in there that I'm starting to get a little drowsy with. I think they really have a .com feel to them, and maybe it's time to look elsewhere. And then I've done a high volume scan this morning just using the predefined scans, and so we'll work through that. Okay, lots to cover as always. That's not kind of the page I wanted. That one might be better. Okay, so here we go. So just refresh the page, and we see that the Dow is up 778, 763. Now, on the morning of December the 26th, the Dow was up 1,000. And, you can go back and look at some of the blogs back there, but everybody was thinking that might not be enough. When we get these huge moves up after being in a really big down trend, that's the kind of thing we're looking for now. The first update doesn't necessarily make it so. A lot of this is forcing the shorts to cover, and I think I mentioned that in the Market Buzz and on my subscriber newsletter. So, but this is the kind of day we're looking for. We're looking for a big update where people are starting to put money back to work, and I think that's what we're seeing here with these big pushes. So we have, looking on the Canadian side, this is just using the most active tab, and what you see here is as we go through these names, they're trying to bottom here and trying to get going. There's Enbridge starting to bounce, gold starting to bounce, marijuana names starting to bounce, some oil names starting to bounce. So it's kind of a broad section of what's going on. Down here for the S&P 500, Bank of America is just kind of treading water. Down here, GE is putting in a nice bounce, unfortunately, about Jack Welch today. And AMD taken off to the upside. Apple, clearly the leader today, up 7%, really driving hard. Lots of people getting back into that one. Ford, after being just slaughtered. I mean, that was terrible. Big flat tire on that one. Microsoft pushing higher as well. So you're seeing the big market leaders really start to get bid here. AT&T jumping back up. Twitter, that one's on news that Jack might have to leave. And American Airlines, that one, again, it's still down 2%, but it's one of the leading stocks. I don't think I'd touch the airline sector to begin with. It hasn't done anything in 3 years, but maybe for an oversold bounce for those with lots of courage. And then here we have Wells Fargo. And what we see on Wells Fargo, again, another bank trying to bounce. So when we look through the percent up list, Costco's soaring on people hoarding, I think. And Twitter, obviously on the news of Jack leaving. But we're seeing some really good price action. Walmart usually does pretty well when we in safety times when people are looking for cash flow. So that stock's holding up well. Clorox having a big reversal from yesterday. Western Digital, that one's trying to bounce off a big pullback down to 52 from 70. Anyway, starting to see some of these names return. I think what's important, again, just try to look farther out and just decide if 20% kind of prices everything in, or if we still need more. And when we go look at the market movers here on the NASDAQ, semiconductor names are popping. The QQQ, the ETF for the NASDAQ, is high volume today. Apple, big. JD.com, this one's up 10%. Again, this is a China name. And mRNA, I think that's Moderna. I think that was a biotech. Anyway, as we look through these names, use these tabs, these market mover tabs, to just kind of go and look and see what's actually getting bought up. And you don't necessarily want the moonshots, but here's a stock that was basing nicely. Let's just click on that one. That was basing sideways nicely and all of a sudden just continues to rocket up. Had huge volume, went quiet, didn't pull back at all during this pullback and took off to the upside 47. Wow, crazy move. And then, so my point is to try and use these pages to help just see where the action is. And obviously on a day like today, you probably want to avoid what's going percent down. But, this one here, RD Red Violet, like it hardly pulled down in that whole melee. So there were some pretty strong bidders holding that up and it just keeps going up. So that one looks really, really nice. I have no idea what they do, but that's an impressive chart. Anyway, for me, looking at this, that's the kind of setup that I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find, what didn't pull back, what were people bidding up. Here's Beyond Air. These are all huge names. Now, when we go to the percent down names, these are not the kind of charts I want to be buying on a pullback today. Like if you're not going up today, that's not something I really want to participate in. So anyway, try to use these homepage buttons to help you. And you can also sort by scooter ranking on these pages. So there's different tools here that you can use, right? You go up to more and you can do it by market movers or sector summary or scooter reports. And so when we do the scooter reports, what'll show up here is you want to see what's the top up today and what's starting to move. So there's Alta trying to put in a bottom, down $50 from its high. Costco moving up 32 points on the scooter ranking. That's pretty huge. Twitter obviously popping. Walmart. So some of these names are the same, but it's always good to just kind of review it from multiple angles. So don't be afraid to hit this more button and check it out from different perspectives. Again, when you're getting this big move up in the Dow, that's the kind of price action that we want. We're going to get short covering, then it might pause again. Then we're going to have to see if it's got any more momentum. But we were clearly in an oversold state. And if you missed the Market Buzz show on Friday, February 28th, I talked about a lot of the breadth indicators and where they were sitting at. So anyway, try and look through the markets through these lenses. That's what they're there for, and they can help a lot. So let's just go back. I want to make sure I cover off everything here. So semiconductors were one of the strongest names out there. So let's go get that. Let's go get the semiconductors ETF, or not my ETF, whatever. Just hit this. I'm going to go here and scroll down to my chart list for semis. And there's semiconductors. And now what I want to do here, typically I'll have ordered these in some sort of sort order. So if we go look in the summary view, what you'll see here is this. These were some of the strongest names before, and they had really high scooter rankings, and they may still be the strongest names, but perhaps I want to look based on percent change today, and that might tell us a little bit more. So the way I would do that, I'd go to edit list, scroll to the bottom. So again, we could look scooter ranking or whatever, but let's just see what's trying to pick up today. So we're going to remove the numbers from it, from this whole list. So it's going to get rid of these numbers right here. And then we're going to hit update. And now we're going to go back to summary mode, and we're going to sort it based on intraday move up, or we could also just see if there's anything there with Friday's end of day. So we could sort it based on that. What was moving Friday? There's a couple of choices here that are good to watch, but we're going to pick intraday just to see what there is. And now what we do is scroll all the way down to the bottom and just say number in sorted order. So with that gives us the chance to dive in and look at this and just see what's going on. Now that's clearly probably not the chart I want to watch first. And here's, this one's nice, Neo Photonics. So jogging sideways, had a big pulled back for the first couple of months of 2020, trying to find support at the 40-week moving average. If it could turn up here, that's a pretty interesting place. And for it to be one of the top performers today, sitting right around its 20-week or 40-week moving average, that looks pretty good. Here's Poet. I'm trying to break out of a 2-year base here. I love that. That's a really nice setup, and it hardly pulled back in the last couple of weeks. It's only a 30-cent stock, so maybe that's why. Sequonic Communications, this has got an uptrend going. It had a big pullback, maybe just a chance to get something breaking out to new highs. So that one looks pretty interesting. NXP, big pullback, trying to bounce off the 200 or the 40-week moving average. Again, that's been support all the way up here. I think what I like about it the most is I would set my stop pretty much on last Friday's close, and if it doesn't hold that, I just let it go. Too volatile to keep. Photronics, starting to pull back here, big flag pattern. This pulled back more than I would like. This is quite a big percentage pullback, so I'd probably have to wait and see if it could build more of a base. Wouldn't be my first choice. And here's an uptrend that's been broken, so I'd probably avoid that one. It's obviously a nicely priced stock, $90. But I would need to see it hold the lows here. If you were entering, your stop would go right near the lows. Everspin, that is spinning out of control. Micron, uptrending nicely. This looks like an interesting place, already up 3%. So perhaps it can get back above the 10-week moving average. And again, it's been a popular name. So if this can start to get rolling, that's a good-looking chart. Broadcom, big pullback here. Really needs to hold here before it drops to new 52-week lows. I don't like the divergent high here on the PPO, so it made a lot lower momentum high than it did previously, even though price was the same. I think I might avoid that. So looking at some of these other names, again, I'm not trying to pick the right answers today. I'm just trying to show you how I might look for them. I'd go to the obvious places. This has a big PPO uptrend here that I want to see hold. If it starts to break, I'd probably be concerned. Same thing on this one. It had an uptrend going in momentum. It's now made a lower high, even though price made a higher high. So that one, to me, I would avoid. Microchip Technologies, a lot of these are putting in double top kind of patterns. This one had just recently broken out, couldn't hold it, and now let go quite significantly. Probably an avoid. Anyway, that's just one way that I might go look at some of these industries. Now, I had mentioned some of the other industries out there or indexes out there, and these are some of the China names, and look at how fast these are moving. These things are up 20% today. Oh, sorry, that's 1 month. Let's go to intraday. Still big moves. Nothing wrong with 4 and 5% here. So anyway, with with this list is actually pretty short, so we could probably just go with it with the current sort order. So let's go look at it in 10 per page and just see what's going on. So China Mobile trying to hold near its lows. China Telecom still in a downtrend. Again, all of these would be looking for 5G, so it would be interesting to see if they can get going. These gambling casino names, they just got hurt so bad. Throwing in the cards on that one. But here we are sitting down near 14 bucks. If it got down there, that's probably a more interesting place to look at the stock. I still think the casinos are going to be a little light on traffic for a while here. NetEase, this one's been working up nicely, a 40-week moving average, seeing if it could hold. I would not let this trend line break on the momentum indicator. And again, we don't know what's going to happen, but don't want to see that break. If it can hold here and bounce out of here, that would be good. My second lower place would be let it get back to zero. But I think we want to see this one pretty much turn up right away. And I wouldn't want to let it lose too much momentum is my point. Here's Tencent Holdings. This one's been trying to break out multiple times here. If it could turn up here, this would be pretty nice. So back above a 52 level or something like that. It's 49 now. 58.com. This one's been in a downtrend, not really my first choice. YY, not my first choice. Same downtrend. Alibaba, I liked because it had broken out, came back, and I mean, it pulled back 230 to 200, so that's a 15% pullback. But you're sitting right here at horizontal support. This one's nice, and if your stop gets broken, let it take you out. But I think for me, sorry, it's not going to work that way. I think for me, what I need is I do not want to see this uptrend in momentum crack either. So I would like Alibaba here at support at that 200. Let's just take this line here and put it up there. And if that starts to break down, I no longer want to own the stock. But, you know, these are big names. If they were going to start to rebound here, this would be a pretty important place. And again, you know, maybe we're early, but that's the idea behind keep checking this list. This TIL education, this thing's been a very nice climber with all of the mayhem there around the lockdowns and stuff, quarantines. What you see here is this stock has held up relatively well, stayed very close to its all-time highs. It probably makes sense. Online education. I wouldn't let these trends start to break down. That would be a big concern for me. Okay, let's get back into checking them out quickly here. Here's VipShop Holdings, and this one's been rolling over for a while here since the beginning of the year. Uptrend is under threat. It's already broken my uptrend in momentum, so I probably wouldn't want to see that go any further. And the oil company, this one's down. Most oil companies have been, so that's not exclusive to them. This is another online education, and this one's trying to hold up. Momo, this one's really needs to hold its 52-week lows. So maybe we're too early to get back into these Chinese names. There's nothing I see here that's really getting exciting. Auto Home, JD.com, this one's been in a big uptrend anyway. So this is nice here after having the big consolidation. Perhaps it just turns and goes higher. Baidu, this one broke out and pulled back. It needs to hold this 40-week. I wouldn't want to let it get any lower. And if your PPO pulls down and then starts to turn up, that's a very bullish place to get on board. So this 40-week moving average, call it 115, needs to hold. China Tech, this is China Internet, generally trying to trend up here. This momentum trend very close to breaking. So I wouldn't want to see that. And again, this is going to give us an idea. Keep watching these stocks to see what's going on. And if they can start to rise from the rubble, then that's going to help us understand that investors are returning. If not, that's a problem. This Baozun continues to bark, so it's not so good. This Changyao, this one's consumer discretionary toys. A breakthrough $10 would be, or $11 would be pretty interesting. Hiya, nothing really going on there. Sideways so far. This IQIYI is quite interesting. With right in here, if it could hold up and then start to turn back up again, this would build your nice base. and suggest a halfway pullback, and then all of a sudden starts to take off. So somewhere in here, if this could start to turn up, that would be nice. Aurora Mobile, nothing. This Lexan FinTech uptrend here. It looks like it's starting to break to me, and this trend line is starting to break. So I don't want to see those really start to fail too hard here. I guess that's probably the best way to draw that trend line. And then looking in here, I don't want to see this break at all. If it could bounce right at 0, that's a nice place to bounce. But again, highly volatile, and we're just trying to look and see if these names can start to turn around. Pinduoduo, this one was one of the biggest moves up today. So really a nice place, bouncing off the 40-week, which was uptrending. Back above the 10-week, that looks like a nice place to get on board. And then you just put your stop right under this week's price action. QDAN, this one's continuing to not deliver, so stay away. This FANG is trying to base down here. Still not enough to entice me. Sogu, this one's still bad. Soho, nothing. So lots of these don't look ready to return yet. There's very, very few that are starting to get more interesting. So at this point, I think it's still in a void. There's nothing here telling us to jump on board other than a couple of names. And even this Jinko Solar has been trying to push higher. A break back through $25 might get you interested, but I'd keep cautious. Look at how low the momentum here is compared to prior momentum. So if this can't hold up, it's not really something we want to own. And Luckin Coffee is one of the bigger stories out there. Somebody expects it to be Starbucks growth. So if you start to see that, then it would need to kind of get back through this 42 and really continue the uptrend. So far, it's got a series of rising lows. So any sort of uptrend here would be nice to see. QTao, this one had jumped up and is still pulling back. I don't think it's enough yet. So from a China stocks perspective, nothing we really like there. Okay, and then this one is software, and what I did here was just sorted on intraday, and that same process that I used on those China stocks I did on this one earlier, and just go look to see what is getting the bigger moves up today. This one, that's not a chart I wanted to invest in after it broke like that. It's just too wobbly. This red violet, really a nice uptrend. Stone Co. Uptrending nicely. Livongo Health, this one IPO, very interesting, trying to hold up. It had some technical damage in February, but not as much as a lot of other stocks dropped down, meaningfully 20%. I guess $20 would have been a 20% move down, or 22. So it held up okay. Anyway, IPO names are pretty interesting to see how they handle a big pullback. Okay, here's a nice uptrend. That one looks like you could probably use this pullback as an opportunity to grab it. I have a little bit of a problem with the lower high in momentum here, so make sure your stop is underneath. Everbridge trying to hold up. Indices, and this one's trying to bounce off the 40-week moving average. It has given us a sell signal here, so that's a little bit of a worry, but it clearly bounces off the 40-week all the way along here. So in terms of a risk-reward, that's a nicer place on the chart. Fortinet, this one's rolling over between the 10-week and the 40-week. I don't like the momentum starting to fail here. This one was slowly climbing. I mean, it was okay, but the numbers aren't scrunched by any means. So it was climbing up, and all of a sudden it gives it all back. We're back to that $100.95 level. If that doesn't hold, I think you can let that one go. Shopify, this one I like. A little bit of a lower high in momentum here, so that's interesting. But I do think it had a huge surge on earnings and then pulled back, and it's now trying to hold the 10-week. If that doesn't hold, then it's probably a sell. But this was a 30% pullback on the stock, so that was meaningful. Change Healthcare, again, trying to IPO here, make a base and start to turn back higher. Perhaps it can do that. It had started to break out to the upside, so that's a little bit promising to start with. Okay, Ceridian Holdings, this one's trying to turn up here. That would be good. Just trying to keep this uptrend going. And again, new technology stock, so nice to get on those when they give you a pullback opportunity. These aren't huge pullbacks on some of these. Zix Corporation, this one's just trying to stay in here. It had a big push up, probably sold off all last week, and maybe you get it just before whatever caused the breakout in the first place. So perhaps there's something more there. Futu Holdings, this one has been breaking out above this base here at $12, and the pullback gives you a bit of a gift from 15 back to 12, so that's a 20% pullback, and then all of a sudden perhaps you can get it and take it as it goes above that basing action at $12, under $12. Visa, this one's rolling over, and I know it's on the back of a lot of things. A lot of people worried about people staying in, not going out and spending. So perhaps this goes lower. There is a divergent high here, which is a little bit worrisome, and the uptrend is under threat here. So yeah, Visa might be more cautious, but just keep your eye on it to watch. I'm not sure. I think if it fell back below the 40-week moving average, I'd probably make sure I had some support, either a put in place or something to help protect gains that I might already had. On here, $60 has been a resistance level for the stock. It doesn't seem like it's got the momentum to go. I don't really want to get there. But it's making lower highs and lower lows on the momentum indicator and rolling over again relatively close to zero. It had at least broken out to new highs here just before the pullback, so it might be something worth watching. Anyway, I'd have to look at that one on a much closer basis. Citrix Systems, after breaking out to new highs, this big pullback, that might be a nice opportunity to try and find it around the 40-week moving average. I sure wouldn't let it get lower than 90 and buy it there. Immersion, downtrending, nothing to really like. All scripts, very downtrending. Okay. So anyway, those are some of the ways that I would work through the charts. I want to also cover off the high volume names today, and I put them in a chart list. I just went to the automated scans and looked at them that way. But this chart here, this is really interesting. Had a huge volume surge back here in November, and now today a big volume surge, and it's coming back to test this $5. There's something going on that's causing fireworks in this stock, and obviously it's been selling off for a while, so maybe there's nothing to it. But for some reason, there's all of a sudden a whole bunch of interest starting to show up there. This is just income enhanced volatility weighted ETF. After a massive pull down, 20%, this is trying to bounce back up. And same thing, volatility weighted. Here's Dyadic International. This one had broken out to new 52-week highs earlier this morning and pulled back down again. So we'll just keep watching it. Look at the volume. Somebody's interested in this stock all of a sudden. And here's 47. We already talked about it. Just a moonshot there. That one's taken off. Here's Heat Biologics starting to take off as well. So anyway, looking at these names, this one's been basing and is trying to break out of the base. That's nice. Kiera Farm Therapeutics also trying to break out here. Pretty good look. So again, maybe we should just go back now and cover off the bigger picture in the indexes right now. What is going on? Let's just run up to the top here and hit the dashboard button. I think the thing I want to make sure of is that if the market wobbles here, it'll probably come back even halfway or whatever. But it looks to me like it's got enough momentum to try and build a rally out of this hole. Now the real question is whether or not it can follow through. So stay safe. If you're a long-term investor, you probably haven't sold out. And if you're a short-term investor, it's still going to be wild trading for a little while here. So you might just want to wait till the wind's at your back. Thanks, everybody, for taking the time to join me. It's going to be a wild week. Enjoy it. Bye-bye.